Bitcoin has been bleeding, but is the bleeding about to stop as FTX and Alameda Research have dumped tons of GBTC shares? Is 50K a guarantee over the next few weeks? We're going to discuss that. Also, we have James Butterfield joining us, the head researcher at CoinShares, to break down some analytics and metrics. And can we expect to see a move up in the price of Bitcoin with the inflows of ETFs finally being positive? We're also going to put in a live trade, which altcoin we'll be putting a long trade on. Make sure to stay tuned to find out. We got that and much, much more on today's episode of Sin City Crypto. Let's go.
Hola! It's your boy Big Rob back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto. If it's your first time checking us out, we're the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency channel where we take old, boring, stale crypto information, where we repackage that thing up in a fun and entertaining kind of way. We do what Vegas does best. And we also do what Vegas does best and lose all our money and get liquidated on our trades sometimes.
Who said? You know what? Let's check in on our Bitcoin trade here, man. I just got a... So if you watched our show a couple weeks ago, last week, we put in 2 long trades on Bitcoin, and they are currently in the red. We did book 25% profits on a Chainlink trade and 25% profit on a Solana trade, but this one has not gone our way. But we ain't getting liquidated till about 37.9. Will we get there? We'll go over a chart here in a little bit. But again, I did mention we are going to be putting in a live trade today, live leverage trade using Bing X. And so make sure to stay tuned to see which altcoin that we believe can make a move to the upside. Now, let's start with BTC. You know, 50,000 isn't a guarantee, right? Nothing in life is guaranteed, but does everything point to 50K in the next couple of weeks? We'll get our takes here in a second. But first, from AMB Crypto, Bitcoin signs a bull run emerge, but all's not well with BTC. Bitcoin's daily Puell multiple is poised to cross above its 365-day moving average, suggesting a potential upward rally. The Puell multiple measures the ratio of who right? Don't they have editors here that like double check the writing? The Puell multiple measures the ratio of Bitcoin mined daily to the 365-day moving average price. This is a quote from the crypto quant analyst who wrote this. The relationship between the daily Puell multiple values and the 365-day moving average can indicate market trends, with a daily crossing above the 365-day moving average often indicating an upward price trend. While many predicted a rally above 50K post-ETF approval, Bitcoin peaked at 48.6 on the 11th of January and has since trended downward. However, the low trade volume experienced in the last week indicated that this may or may not be possible in the short term. Robin, got a couple things I want to show, but first, 50K.
Guaranteed? Guaranteed. I mean, in a long enough time horizon, right? As long as the network doesn't go down.
Well, obviously.
So there you go, right?
That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
What?
Oh, well, obviously, you know, the price of gas is going to go to $3.50. Well, no crap. Eventually it will.
So, wait, no. Okay. 50K Bitcoin, I do think is around the corner. I think once the sell pressure from Grayscale subsides and we get a continuation of the accumulation of Bitcoin on both BlackRock, ETF Fidelity, those are the big winners right now on the ETF as far as inflows. But there are another 7 or 8 different ETFs outside of those two. And it's a massive amount of volume, a massive amount of inflows. Yes, we got a lot of sell pressure from Grayscale, but you had a lot of people that were initially underwater as far as selling on Bitcoin that were stuck in a position where they couldn't exit. Now they can sell their Bitcoin at market price, even though they might have been penalized to do so before. And so now, sell pressure, it's subsiding. It's slowing down. Still a lot coming from Grayscale. That's why we're seeing the price still held at 40,000. But I will say this. Bitcoin's 40K support is very, very strong, right? You would think if I told you, dude, there's going to be billions of dollars of Bitcoin sold from Grayscale liquidating some of their trust or the Bitcoin they hold in their trust, you would assume that we would probably be down to 38, 35, right, on Bitcoin's price. But it's held very strong. And now it's been well over a week. And I think that I think it's green skies. 50K down 2-3 weeks from now, man. I'm telling you.
You know, you mentioned Bitcoin 40K. Well, here's a video we found of exactly what that looks like. Bitcoin trying to stay above 40K. Dipping below 40K. No, still above 40K.
Yeah.
You know, it might not look pretty, but hey, it's still standing up straight, right?
He didn't spill his beer at all. That.
Nice curvature in the lower back there.
Oh no, and he went down.
Did he fall?
He got captured. He got caught.
Oh, he got caught by the long traders.
Yes.
The bulls got him.
The bulls got him.
Don't worry, Bitcoin. The bulls got you. Now you mentioned you mentioned liquidations. Well, FTX liquidated about $1 billion worth of their GBTC shares. There have been 2.8 billion of outflows so far. Then we have this. According to reports from CoinDesk, it appears that up to half of the 2 billion in the GBTC outflows were from FTX. And then listen to this, Robin. In addition, FTX's sister hedge fund, Alameda, voluntarily drops its lawsuit against Grayscale. So, part of the bankruptcy proceedings, we now know that, once you enter Chapter 11, a judge pretty much has to approve everything. And the person who's put in charge, which in this case is Ray, what's the gentleman's name? Ray, the one who took over as the CEO? John Ray. It's his duty to look out for to make decisions for the best of the investors and the creditors that are owed money. And with the amount of GBTC shares that were held through that big NAV discount of 48-50%, now you can cash it out for par 1-to-1 where it was supposed to be at, and you're paying back your creditors, you're paying back all the people that FTX and Alameda owe money to. So it makes sense. But again, half is already gone. So there's another about $1 billion left. We just saw another $900 or so million of Bitcoin from GBTC going to Coinbase again. But at some point, this thing is going to stop. It's just a matter of when. I want to know what the chat thinks. Give us an exact date of when Bitcoin will get to 50K. Do you have an exact date, Rob?
Exact date? I got a little time window. I would say by the end of the month. No. By the end of, I would say 3 weeks. So if you're looking for a date, Valentine's?
50K 3 weeks.
Valentine's Day? How about that? 50K by Valentine's?
Yeah. Let us know what you think in the chat. Do you want to give a shout out to our channel sponsor, Cam's Blue Wire Technology? If you run a business and you want to maximize your networking, IT, and cybersecurity, there's one company to go with, and that is Cam's Blue Wire Tech. Visit bluewiretech.com or click the link in the description of this video. Now, I do want to share this tweet here from Look On Chain. According to the Grayscale website, Grayscale currently holds over 566,000 Bitcoin, decreasing about 52,000 since the ETF was passed. And here's just in just what is it? 5-6 trading days. BlackRock now holds 33,000 Bitcoin. Fidelity holds 24,000 Bitcoin. Bitwise 10,000. You can see down the list. But man, can you imagine if we did not see the outflows from Grayscale? What do you think the price of Bitcoin would be right now?
Oh, it would be well over 50K, right? And the volume is ramping up as well. Here, Rocco, pull up my laptop. So here you have the volume. So day 6, so the last trading day here on the ETFs, you can see that the volume for Fidelity at $500 million, up from $376 million the day before. Also, iShares up, or iShares up just a fraction, but Bitwise up 40 million as well. And so across the board, we're getting more volume on the inflows, and we did see a slowdown here. So if you look at the grayscale, we went from very high volumes of $2 billion, 1.8, 1 billion, 1 billion. And so it started to subside. We did get a little tick up yesterday or on the last trading day, but I don't know, man. I think that
This is total volume, not inflows, right? Obviously.
this is total volume. Yes. So this is why you're seeing Grayscale at the highest number on volume. So because they've had the most outflows. But if you look at, I think
Just real quick, think
So
about.
here-
Hold on. Think about that. $1.3 billion in volume has flowed out of Grayscale, and Bitcoin is still over $40,000.
yeah. And then here's the if you're looking at the in and outflows. So you got 2.8 billion has left in the last 6 days. As far as the money flowing in and out of Grayscale. But it's still a net positive of 1.17 billion here.
So then
And-
people are going to ask, Robin, so then if it's net positive, why has the price not moved up? Someone new watching, what answer would
Well, this is all done OTC over the counter, and Bitcoin's price is set predominantly by the exchanges order books, right? So you take all the exchanges, you account for how much Bitcoin is being traded on exchanges. The ones that have the most Bitcoin is going to be the largest percentage, and then you just average it, right? What is the average price that Bitcoin's trading on Binance, then on KuCoin, then on Coinbase? And then you get an average of those, and that's how you set the price. And right now, the price is not set for Bitcoin from what is traded on Wall Street. I do think there's going to be a change eventually. I do think that Wall Street will set the price, or at least have a very, very high influence on the price of Bitcoin for what is traded on their ETFs. But I think that's why. And remember, over the counter doesn't affect the order books. But at some point, when you get to the supply shock, that's the big thing. That's the whole thing with these ETFs, is that the largest institutions in the world, these money managers and hedge funds, are accumulating Bitcoin to provide liquidity to trade, right? And so if somebody comes in and buys $100 million worth of Bitcoin on one of these brokerage firms, then that institution on the back end needs to go and accumulate Bitcoin. And so they go to Coinbase or wherever whatever provider they're going to get, or whatever market they're going to get the Bitcoin from. They go there and buy it. And then if they don't have it on hand, they got to go and scoop it up from their own order books, which is going to move the price. So at the end of the day, the Bitcoin is going to come off of the order books, just not immediately. And once the supply gets hit hard, that's when you're going to see it pour over to the order book.
Well, look at it this way, right? Grayscale is selling, what was it, $1.2 billion a day, OTC to Coinbase, and then inflows from the other 9 or 10 ETFs, they're pulling 1.5 billion from Coinbase OTC. So like Robin mentioned, it's not affecting the order books. The order books is where you're going to start seeing price go up, right? If everything's done over the counter, the whole point is so you don't move the price really up or really down. But again, like Robin mentioned, once you have, instead of 900 Bitcoin available to sell from the miners a day, down to 450, the Grayscale outflows maybe not have stopped completely, but have subsided drastically. And the ramping up of people buying Bitcoin through the ETF goes, you don't really need a mathematician to tell you what that's going to do to the price. It's simple economics, simple.
Just in round numbers here, just shy of $3 billion in 6 trading days has left Grayscale. And we're still net positive over $1 billion on Bitcoin. Just sleep on that one. 6 days, we've sold almost $3 billion of Bitcoin from the largest wallet, active wallet. and we are still a net positive on what's being traded. So we've accumulated more than 1 billion Bitcoin. This is going to ramp up very fast, very soon. As soon as the selling slows, the buying isn't going to slow. And the supply shock will be stressed. Price go up. There you go.
Kagar Gerard said, "Is something big coming for Doge?" There's a lot of talk about X payments. PayPal just said we're going to shock the world on January 24th. What does that mean? Who knows? Will Doge be integrated into X payments? Potentially. We know Elon Musk loves the doggy coin. We have a couple other pieces of news to share with you. Here is 40,000 pre-orders for the Solana Saga 2 phone. We did do a video on this. If you want to learn more about it and whether it's maybe worth looking into buying one, go check out our video we have on our page. But 40,000 pre-orders, that's freaking massive. Huge. Also, getting a little bit into the markets here, some token unlocks for you to keep your eye on. Some of the big ones here, DYDX is unlocking about 2% of their market cap, so around $17.6 million. But the biggest one here is Ronin. $87 million of tokens is being unlocked over the next 4 days and 4 hours. If you're not familiar with Ronin, they're the blockchain that Axie Infinity runs on. They also have that massive hack. So what you're seeing here is the first few batches of staking awards, ecosystem funds, and Sky Mavis, which is the essentially we should expect some of this to go ahead and get sold because it is Sky Mavis is their parent company, right? So these are things to keep an eye on. Why do we share this with you? Because if you're a trader, although these token unlocks have less of effect in a bull market, but obviously price is trending down now. So this is something that multiple people are going to be looking at and might look to short it, causing downward pressure on the price. You don't want to get caught in a long unless you have all the information in front of you and ready to go. I'm going to send it to Rob.
Yep. Got a big shout out to give to the new people in the community. If you are new here, say hello so we can drop that hola back at you. We got Morgan Sailor, Matt the Mailman, Hot Latina, Jamie C, GT, Strong Like Wood, Sativa Vendetta, and to all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. Also got a $5 super chat. Centerman says, you gonna pay for that Kulo? So, meme coin talk.
Oh, okay, I got it.
So anyways, we also got Don Manning here as well. Made the cut there at the last second. We have 70 likes, 200 viewers, less than 50% like ratio. So smash the like, support the channel. Thank you.
Let's take a look at the markets. Go.
Market time?
Market time.
All right. So we have officially lost.
About to get liquidated.
We've officially lost the.
Will we get liquidated live on air?
We've officially lost the 40K support. We started the show by saying the support was so strong that, well,
it's still strong.
It's
Hey,
amazing.
remember how long that guy was leaning back for?
Okay.
Still early.
All right. So I would like to know from you in the chat, will we end this show at over 40K or will we end this show at sub 40K? What say you? Put a 1 in the chat if you think we'll be over 40K. Put a 2 in the chat if you think that we will be sub 40K by the end of the show. I want to know what Sin City, are we going to be able to support the price of Bitcoin ourselves just on the stream? What do you think?
I'm looking at the BTC chart here on the 1 hour. I had this zone here mapped out prior to the show because you see here back on the 10th of December. This is on the 1 hour again. Wicked down here a couple times, just barely touched the top line of this bracket here. Again on January 3rd. Dipped in here and then moved right back up. And then now we are below it, but the candle still has about 37 minutes left. If we close below the zone, the next level, the next area I would be looking at on the shorter time frame, the immediate area would be about 39,252. And if we lose that, this area here, I'll draw kind of a horizontal line. This area around 37,655 is where I'd be looking at for Bitcoin to show some strength. If we zoom out to the 4 hour, just kind of take a look. Yeah, this is the same area here. And if we kind of throw on our bands, we are, yeah, this is the trend is definitely red on the lower time frames. If we zoom out to the higher time frames, we are still, so actually, if we take a look at the higher time frame, we got the cloud on here. So this is a great way for you to real quick look at where's support, where's resistance. You can see here, we are testing the lower bounds of this cloud. If we break below, it should be pretty bearish. And you can see we have turned red on the cloud. So I'd be looking at a bounce here from around 39,773. And then to meet immediate resistance right around 42,657. Again, this thing has held good, right? The cloud's been great. We've kind of wicked down here into the cloud, but we haven't broken below this cloud for quite a long time. Not since August of 2023. So although on the shorter time frame, we are looking bearish on Bitcoin, obviously long term, we're super bullish on BTC. So Robin, go ahead.
All right, I do want to take a look at some of the altcoins. A lot of blood in the streets today. You are a vampire. You are licking your chops. Now, Ethereum down 5% on the day, down 8% on the week, holding at $2,300. And then we got some other losers today. Solana down pretty significant. We did see Solana over $100 for
over $120.
Yeah, over $120. Was holding $100 for quite some time, and well, that is all lost now. We're down to $80. So if you are a fan of Solana, this is probably one of the better times to accumulate. I don't know how much further spill off I would expect to see out of Solana. Perhaps do you think it ever goes back down to $50, or do you think that's
50? No, 50. No,
yeah,
75 maybe.
So I mean, here's the thing. Like for me, it's what would be the floor for Solana here in this next upcoming bull market, or from here moving forward? I just don't see it getting under $60. So for forecasting into the next bull market, $200+ Solana, I think this is still a steal. You're getting it at a massive discount than where it was just a little over a week ago. XRP down 3%. XRP video coming up after today's show. So if you're an XRP fan, make sure you got your notifications checked because we got a little insight, some updates on Judge Torres and some new listing as well on a major exchange. We got in the red, say down 11% on the 24 hours near protocol helium. So all down almost, or the say and near down 20% on the week as well. Not surprised. Say had a big run up, as well as near protocol has been rallying recently as well. Near is probably one of our favorite projects. And
love Near.
This is sitting at a market cap outside the top 30. So number 31 on the coin market cap list, with a total market cap of $2.6 billion, has a ton of room to run. So, if you're looking to accumulate near protocol, this is probably one of the best times as well. So I will be taking a look at Solana, near. Maybe that's something we take a long on. I know you were talking about putting in a long trade. Maybe a Solana or near protocol might be one to take an eye on. I don't know.
The one I got my eye on is this one right here.
What's that?
Ethereum. So this is ETH on the daily. So this ETH looks pretty bullish on the daily, right? You take a look here, you see what the price action has done. See here, we got a higher high, higher high, higher high, right? And on the backside, we got higher low, higher low. And if we close out above 2337, we'll be at another higher low. And also, let me go ahead and remove these drawings here. You can see here we are trading below the 21 and 10-day exponential moving average, which we don't really do a lot on Ethereum, especially on the daily chart. Whenever we do, we do tend to see nice moves to the upside from wick to top here. It's about a 10% move. And the most recent time where we dip below these two moving averages, we saw a move of over 25% for Ethereum. Zooming down to the 1 hour time frame. I'm going to take these EMAs off, and we're going to take a look at what I'm looking to see here and where I'm looking to hide my liquidation point under. So this is ETH on the 1 hour, right? we throw on our cloud just to kind of see where we're at as far as, or no, I want to throw the cloud on the daily. So the cloud on the daily is actually looking pretty good. Still a uptrend for ETH. We know ETH didn't really rally when Bitcoin was rallying, when some of the alts were rallying, but ETH since the end of October has rallied over 70%, over 70% for Ethereum. And as you can see here on the daily on this Ichimoku cloud, we should, if this thing keeps dipping, we should see immediate support right around 22.96. So if you want to wait for the absolute best entry price for Ethereum, I'd be looking at right at around $2,300 flat, which are only $40 above. So for me, I don't like to get too greedy, whether it's taking profits or entering a trade. And then zooming down to the, again, to the 1 hour on Ethereum, this level of support here is pretty pretty important. And I'm going to drop a horizontal line for you guys to take a look at here. So this level right here, right around 23.52, which we are kind of trading below it now, but you can see here we tapped this as resistance. This was back on January 8th. We consolidated a little bit here back in December. Again, bounced right off of it in the very beginning of the month in January. And this is kind of where we're trading at now. So for me, this is a low risk, high reward trade. I'm looking to exit the position around $2,500. If we throw on the VRVP, just take a look at the volume. Tons of volume coming in here between 2340 and 2390. If we do dip, if we lose this support line and we dip below 2239, we should see a lot of ETH get gobbled up here. I'll throw another horizontal line here right at this volume profile. And you can see here, bounced clean off. This was on January 9th and saw a massive rally to the upside. Again, we tapped this as resistance once, twice, 3 times back in mid-December. So this is a great area that I'd be looking at. And here's the thing. We're going to open a long position on Ethereum. We're going to look to exit around $2,500. But if this thing drops down to about 2242, we'll be adding to our long position. So with that being said, we're going to go in on ETH. We're going to do 150 bucks. Let's see what 10x leverage. So 10x leverage, and one thing to keep in mind, guys, if you are going to be leverage trading, always use isolated, right? Because you don't want your entire position, your portfolio to get liquidated. So 10x leverage on Ethereum. Let me throw the laptop back up here. We'll be looking at a liquidation price of around 2120, which I am comfortable with. So Rob, what do you think? 10x, 2120 liquidation price on Ethereum.
Yeah.
Yay, nay?
2120? Yeah.
21.
I like it.
Okay.
We were, I know you were looking at the chart, but we haven't dipped under $2,200 in the all month. And so I feel pretty confident because, going into the beginning of the year, we were at 2,200, even as far back as December. So with the liquidation point of $2,100, I feel pretty confident on that. When is the last? So yeah, you have to go back. You have to go back till November from when we were sub 2,000. But it seems like that 2,200 strong.
Very, like I said,
yeah,
on that on the volume there.
Yeah,
it does looks pretty good. So,
I like it.
So we're in a trade. We're up about $1. So, well, make sure to stay tuned because we'll keep you. Yeah. Revolutionaries here.
And then a couple new people we spotted out in the chat. We got Big CY the Raiders, and then we got Josh Sins, Clockwise, Arbiter of Truth, and Press O'Neill. To all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
All right. We are excited to have our next guest join us. First time on the show. We share his research papers all the time on the show, especially Mondays. If this looks familiar here, my friends, and I'll kind of show you. While we go over the flows by asset, the gentleman who writes this, James Butterfield, he is joining us for the first time today. So let's bring him in. James.
Hi.
How are you?
Hi there. Yeah, good. Thanks. Yes.
Excellent. James,
Good to be on the show.
we're excited to have you, man. Thank you so much for your time. I'm
Thanks for
David.
joining us.
The other gentleman is Robin. We're the co-hosts here. We're excited to have you on the show today. Like I mentioned before we brought you on, we share your research on the show all the time. So super excited to have you to kind of go into a little more depth and share some of your insight. James, this is your first time on the show. If you don't mind, can you tell our community a little bit about yourself and kind of your journey into crypto?
Sure. Yeah. Computer geek. Did geophysics, computing and geophysics as a degree. Then was 20 years in finance. Got started asking a lot of. I used to manage an £8 billion portfolio for the Queen and a few other people many years ago, and I then worked for a company that sold gold ETFs, and I had a lot of questions about Bitcoin back in 2015, 2016. Didn't really get it, and I thought, well, the best way for me to get it is build my own mining rigs. Thought about doing it in Bitcoin, couldn't do it, so I built my own GPU mining rigs and mined Ethereum for quite a few years. Wife thought I was mad. Basement was at 42 degrees centigrade every day. But
Pretty hot.
I did it, and then I left TradFi 4 years ago and joined CoinShares, where I'm head of research now.
Yeah, I
Amazing.
think 2015 Ethereum was still under under $1, right? Or right around $1?
Yeah. It was good, but then the difficulty went up so quickly, and then I decided to sell my rigs in 2018 because I thought proof of stake was just around the corner at that point. How
Bingo.
wrong was I? But
That was a
but
long,
I sold my rigs, and
That was a great,
Yeah.
great call, James.
yeah,
James,
that proof of stake was 5 years in the making, right? That was right around the
Yes.
corner
Yeah.
every
Took
month.
yeah, that was it. And I was thinking I've got to sell my rigs in 2018 because I thought it was, but as it turns out, it was
the
5
right
years
decision.
later. But I didn't. Yeah, running GPU rigs is a pain in the ass. If I'm
Especially when
brutally
what'd you say, 42 degrees centigrade. So we're in the U.S. We like to do make everything's difficult. So that's what is that in Fahrenheit? We'll get a calculator.
It's
converter.
It's like over 100.
It's
Over
Vegas,
100.
Vegas summer. That's what
Vegas
it is
summer.
right there. It is. So Vegas summer. So.
James, I want to just jump right into it. So you published this about 5 hours ago. So the digital asset flows, and I'm just gonna swap over to my laptop here, and you can see last week just a massive, massive amount of inflows for Bitcoin. We're kind of seeing the opposite this week. Flows by provider, 2.2 billion has flowed out of Grayscale. Just really negative across the board, with the exception of Fidelity and BlackRock's ETFs.
I love the fact that we're still positive, though, man. Even though you had that almost 3 billion on outflows from Grayscale, we're still net positive on inflows amongst all the other ETFs at over 1 billion. So,
yeah, and you can see here the
Yeah.
flows. The flows of the short Bitcoin are up, and Bitcoin is down 24.7 million. James, you want to maybe expand on this a little bit more? And what are you seeing? Do you think this trend is going to continue?
So overall, because it's like in weekly tranches that I separate this, it kind of masks something that's more important. So just look at the US alone. There's been 11 issuers issue ETFs. And one of those is obviously Grayscale, the largest. It's the incumbent. It's got 26 billion or 25 billion in Bitcoin. And it was launched in 2015 along with CoinShares equivalent ETF in Europe. And it was what they call a closed-end fund. So it was quite hard to sell on the secondary market. And as a consequence, Bitcoin being a volatile asset, when people were buying the Grayscale product, was very hard to sell. And as a consequence, it was when the market was really falling, it fell into a big discount essentially. So if you were to crystallize a sale of Grayscale, you'd lose a lot of money. As soon as it converted to an ETF, that discount just went to zero. So people were kind of locked up in Grayscale for a couple of years, and now suddenly they can get out. And so they're just bolting for the stable door, so to speak. And so we've seen actually $2.8 billion worth of outflows since the ETF launch on the 11th of January. But at the same time, those 10 other new issuers, we've seen $4 billion of inflows. So on a net basis, actually, a positive story. We've seen $1.1 billion worth of inflows, which is very good. But to further complicate things, and this is where which makes it very hard, is a lot of the seeders and affiliates that were seeding these new Bitcoin funds were buying Bitcoin before the 11th of January. And that was pushing up the price. And so actually on the day of the issuance, there wasn't much more Bitcoin buying because it had all been bought. There was just selling from Grayscale. Basically over the last week and a half, we've seen $2.8 billion. That's why the price has fallen. I had someone really take the mickey out of me on Twitter because I was saying Grayscale selling's pushing down the price, but it is. This is what's happening. And I do think it's going to take a while for Grayscale to kind of iron out these issues. I don't think everyone's going to sell because imagine, let's say you bought Grayscale 3 years, 4 years ago, you're massively in the money, and you're weighing up. Well, if I sell now, I'm going to crystallize a massive capital gains tax event. I might not necessarily do that, and yeah, the fees are high at 150 basis points. Um, but maybe I'm happy taking that on the chin because of the capital gains tax
I don't,
issue. But
James, I'm really happy you brought that up. You have experience in ETFs, as you mentioned. Why? I'm just trying to wrap my head around if your competitors are at 20 basis points and you're at 150, why? Like, what is the reason why? Is it because, that it's too steep of a income drop from 2% to go all the way down to 0.2? Are they being greedy? Do they know that people won't leave? Are like,
It's definitely capital.
do you have any insight on that?
Capital gains.
yeah, I think yeah, they know that people won't leave. They can leave, but it's a pain and it could be very expensive for people. Um, and but what you can be assured of is no one's going to buy the fund now. I can't understand that because if you're looking at a fund that's offering you 0% fee for the next 6 months, then you're gonna take that one, particularly from a very reputable name like BlackRock and Fidelity, for instance. So, and CoinShares have obviously just have a share in the Valkyrie fund as well. So, um, it seems obvious that as new issuers, they're just going to buy that. And so, I think the question now becomes just at what point do the outflows end for Grayscale? And I've seen a couple of people sort of make estimates. I think it's incredibly hard to make estimates. But I think it's not unrealistic to see something like 10-20% outflow, which is big, and it
That's
means there's
huge.
potential further selling pressure for some time for now.
Interesting. Now, James, I was watching the interview you did with Charles Schwab. You kind of mentioned in there that investors find value in Bitcoin as a play and diversification. What does that mean for Bitcoin in times of economic uncertainty? There's a lot of talk about recession in 2024. Global war, whatever the case may be, inflation, hyperinflation in certain countries. What does that translate to in terms of Bitcoin and maybe how investors are going to allocate their investments and some of their portfolio to Bitcoin?
So you need to go back 2 years, back to start 2020. This time in 2022, the Fed just switched to being really aggressive on raising rates. And the thing is, when you raise interest rates, competing stores of value like treasuries look more attractive than an emerging store of value like Bitcoin, and that popped the Bitcoin bubble. Um, and now, throughout 2023, part of the reason why I think the Fed, why Bitcoin rallied was because people, well, for several things, banking system collapse, high interest rates really hurt the banking sector, and I had clients for the first time saying, "I'm flying to quality of Bitcoin." Um, but so that the banking sector collapsed and also anticipation of interest rates falling led to a real rally of Bitcoin. This year, we're going to see interest rate cuts. Now, possibly May, maybe March. And that looser monetary policy looks competing stores of value like US Treasuries less attractive and something like Bitcoin more attractive. Now, some people say, okay, well, maybe people might just buy equities because when rates fall, equities do quite well. But if rates are falling because you realize the US is going to fall into recession or have a period of economic weakness, it doesn't make margins in equities look particularly good. And as a consequence, actually, I think people will favor Bitcoin and it will remain keep quite a low correlation to equities. And this is the main thing. You do the maths on Bitcoin, you find it's uncorrelated to other asset classes at a time when, like, equities and bonds, the standard 60-40 portfolio has a 40% correlation. So actually, now is a really good time to diversify and kind of protect your portfolio, essentially.
You think Bitcoin is looked at now as a diversification instrument where you can be uncorrelated from the movements of the broader economy? I feel like you can't really escape it unless you're in a true commodity, and even then, those tend to move with the overall market. So, is Bitcoin now kind of a
It
safe
has
play
been
to just to
always. In
break away
fact,
from monetary policy?
if you want, I can show you a slide that's done all the numbers. If you're interested in seeing
Oh,
that,
of
let
course,
me
Yeah,
let
of
me just
course.
bring this up
Because
for you.
there's always this narrative that
And
Bitcoin's correlated with Nasdaq and risk on stocks, and you think it's kind of bucked that trend, and it's a hedge against the monetary
yeah,
policy.
let me show you this. Okay, I just got to figure this out how you do it here. Just gonna.
should be like a little
Here we
computer
go.
screen icon. There we go.
Yeah, got
Beautiful.
that. Can you see it now?
Yep, we're good. Beautiful.
Can you see that?
Yep. Yep, we're all good.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so let me just put it in slideshow. That might help a bit. So it's a bigger screen.
Oh yeah.
So this is just, we're getting really geeky into portfolio stuff.
Oh, love it.
The column here, so you've got annualized returns. So this is a 60-40 benchmark portfolio. It's just equities and bonds. Annualized returns 7.5%. This is since 2015. Bitcoin, 4% Bitcoin position, you double your annualized returns.
Wow.
Um, but this is important. This is when you rebalance. So if you rebalance, you say you've got a target of 4%, and every quarter you say, right, if Bitcoin's gone to 5% of my portfolio, I sell some to get back to that target, of 4%. And if Bitcoin price falls, you buy some. So that strategy is actually really good. And if you look at what's called the maximum drawdown, that's how much it really falls. You see, it doesn't increase that much relative to the benchmark. If you just bought Bitcoin, if you're like a hodler, and you just bought Bitcoin 4% position and just let it drift in the portfolio, the price rises, falls, whatever, yeah, your annualized returns are amazing, but your maximum drawdown is huge. And if you're like an institutional fund manager or have a large portfolio, this becomes a big problem. And also, if you look at the volatility, and we have many clients saying, look, volatility is too high. I need to somehow to deal with the volatility problem. Well, regular rebalancing of Bitcoin in a portfolio really deals with that. And importantly, your point about gold or equities or whatever, or commodities, that's a CRB index. So the second to last column on the right, the CRB index. If you look at the correlation, if you look at annualized returns, it's done nothing for annualized returns over the last 7 or 8 years. If you look at the correlation, it hasn't decorrelated at all. And if you look at all these other alternative assets you might buy, like gold, it's only decorrelated by 0.2%. REITs, they've only decorrelated by 0.2%. It's not until you had Bitcoin where it's decorrelated by 7% if you regularly rebalance that it's truly a diversifier. So it's much, much better. And this is so I'm sitting in front of institutional clients day in, day out, speaking to these kind of things. And this is what really compels them now. The biggest problem clients had pre 11th of January was, are the regulators going to ban Bitcoin? Now that question's out of the way, now it becomes, okay, is it genuinely have a position in the portfolio? And this is going to be the big thing this year, I think. I wrote this paper basically on this analysis. This is updated, but I wrote this 3.5 years ago.
Wow.
And it's good that it's getting some noise now, because it's genuinely a real, and it was good to see Fidelity putting a little picture of a car sort of swerving off to a 60-40 plus Bitcoin
Yeah, I
portfolio.
saw that.
And and sort of empirically, it really makes sense having. And the nice thing is that my article was called "A Little Bitcoin Goes a Long Way." You don't need much Bitcoin for it to have a really positive impact. To have the same sort of impact with gold, you need a lot more gold, and so
That
it really
is
makes sense.
Is this
that is
also?
such a powerful
I was
statement.
gonna say, is this still a continuing trend? Because I see it's from 2015. Is this something we're still seeing as far as the percentage returns on an annual basis?
Yeah, so
I'd say
If
2019 or 2018 and on beyond.
Yeah, so the decorrelation from 2019 is about 5%, so not 7%, not as much,
Mm.
but it does wax and wane. So I'm actually going to bore you now. Um, the chart on the right-hand side is Nasdaq versus Bitcoin over the years back since 2018. And people were really criticizing Bitcoin back in mid 2022. It had a correlation to equities to Nasdaq of 72%, and people saying, "Oh, it's just another risk asset. Why buy it?" Um, I think what also is evident here is the reason why it pushed up that high was because interest rates are rising. Now, Bitcoin and equities are interest rate sensitive, but for different reasons. Bitcoin because it's competing with other stores of value like treasuries, while equities it's an interest rate sensitive asset because when rates rise, it squeezes margins, corporate margins. So um, that's the point here. And now you've seen that massive decline of the correlation back to within the historical norms because the Fed's not raising rates anymore. They're about to cut. And actually, I think that correlation between equities and Nasdaq will go to negative.
Awesome. And James, I love the earlier chart you showed. You know, we talk about it all the time, but seeing it in front of you with, you know, numbers and statistics and facts is amazing. And what you said, you know, the allocation of Bitcoin, how much you would have to allocate it to move a portfolio versus the multiplier you have to put that on gold. I think people are finally starting to realize. And if that's what you're showing, I can't imagine all these financial advisors who are incentivized and make money when your portfolio makes money, why they wouldn't show the same thing. And so, which leads me to my next question, James, is what percentage of the $14 trillion that is being managed from these ETF issuers like Fidelity and BlackRock and Bitwise, what percentage of that do you forecast will make its way into Bitcoin by towards the end of this year? Do you have a number in mind, or what's kind of your
So
thesis?
I'm known for going out and saying I have no clue, and that's the reality. Um, I think it depends. And the way I look at it is more of a total addressable market thing. So, if I was to say to you Bitcoin price could hit 100,000, you might think I'm a bit crazy. But if I was to say to you, I think it's quite fair that Bitcoin could cannibalize 17% of gold's market share. That's the same thing. It just said it a different way, and I think that's quite reasonable actually. In terms of, there's 14. I saw the Galaxy work. I did some work on this, by the way. Galaxy said $14.4 trillion of available assets can now buy Bitcoin. 10% could potentially buy, and they have a 1% position. That's $14 billion within of inflows. That would be a record. The largest was in 2021, where we saw $10 billion worth of inflows. So yes, it's I think 14 billion is quite possible. What would that equate to price? Well, in some work I've done, if you look at fund flows and price, there is a relationship. It has an R squared of around 0.3, so not perfect, but okay. That would equate to a price of 141,000 if we saw $14 billion worth of inflows this year. Um, I'm a bit cautious here. I mean, we've seen already this year $1.3 billion worth of inflows, so pretty good start. Um, can we see enough furthermore? It slightly depends on what happens with Grayscale. But I also think um, it's only now that many of those $14 trillion worth of assets are actually starting to look at Bitcoin now. And you don't get Bitcoin overnight. Everyone's Bitcoin journey takes quite some time, right? And I'm spending a lot of my time going out to see clients in Europe and helping them understand it better. And I reckon it takes a year for people to kind of really get their heads around it and develop a good sense of the investment rationale. And so because many people are sort of buying or thinking about it just for the first time now, it might take a while before they decide to push that button and buy Bitcoin.
I'm so happy you brought that up, James. You know, our industry, you know, we get caught up sometimes. Our time horizons are so much shorter than the investor who does have access to these trillions of dollars, and we just expect them to be like, oh, the ETF's live. Why are they putting money in there? I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to who are in that baby boomer generation who do control, you know, 50, 60, 70 trillion dollars worth of wealth. It's going to take a little bit of time for them to flow in there. But I think what we've come to is we all agree at some point they're going to allocate certain percentage of their portfolio in a Bitcoin. I think they'd be stupid not to.
Yeah, I mean, we don't get much opposition from clients now. A lot of it was around, okay, Bitcoin's going to be banned. Now that one's out of the way. It's pretty hard. I mean, the other pushback quite commonly is it doesn't have any intrinsic value, which frustrates me because
Me too.
intrinsic value is a hugely subjective thing. It's what Greek philosophers. It stems back from Greek philosophers, and intrinsic value gives you happiness, apparently. And so, it's the CFA Institute has hijacked the word intrinsic value to mean something that offers you a yield, and I think that's wrong. I mean, even now we're finding wealthy people, they diversify their assets way further out than just equities and bonds now. They're buying cars as collector items, paintings, wine, a whole range of different things. And many of those assets don't technically have any kind of intrinsic value, as a CFA would like to put it, because they don't offer you a yield. But all I'd say is to someone who says that Bitcoin doesn't have any intrinsic value, fine, just go and get me that free Bitcoin. I mean, and then you quickly realize you can't. There's a very liquid market in Bitcoin. It trades $8 billion a day now, which is double that of the London Stock Exchange.
Wow. Those are things that when you put into perspective, you're like, wow, we just got to get out of looking at the price in the short term and really expand our time horizons. James, it was an absolute pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us, for imparting some great knowledge on us. We look forward to bringing you on again, my friend. Thank you so much again.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll see you next time, James.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
See you.
Some good nuggets in there, man. I hope you guys are paying attention.
What I took away is that with Grayscale, why would somebody be incentivized to stay in Grayscale's trust? And it's just really the capital gains, right?
Taxes.
And yeah, your taxes, you pay in taxes.
There's people who literally will go out at these 2 days before the year ends and go buy a $10 million private jet to write it off to bring their tax implications.
Well,
down.
the capital gains is between 20 and 25%, right? Depending on
if it's long term or short term.
Yeah.
Also depending on your
but generally around 20%. And so if you're looking at 1.5% and you're holding, let's just say, hundreds of Bitcoins through Grayscale, that percentage is you're okay just keeping the 1.5 and not realizing the capital gains. And what we've seen in outflows is probably more or less, just individual people that are looking to exit the market. But I think more so, what you're seeing is IRAs and also retirement accounts that are tax free. Those people, they don't have the penalty coming up with capital gains, so they're okay leaving Grayscale and going to a competitor or just simply exiting the market entirely. So
here's the thing, though: as the price of Bitcoin starts to appreciate, those tax implications are going to be even higher.
Yeah.
So, great stuff there, guys. I want to share James's Twitter handle. Go follow him at @Butterfield. He's the head of research at CoinShares. Just some great insight. I look forward to bringing him back on again, man. That was some. If you're a nerd and you're a stats and metrics person, that was great.
You'd call me a nerd.
You're definitely not a nerd. Will Coinbase win the SEC lawsuit? I think this lawsuit is going to have more implications on the crypto market than the Ripple one did, and I'll explain to you why. This is from BitcoinSystemi.com.
Bold statement, bro.
No, I'm going to explain myself. Don't worry. Elliot Stein, the senior litigation analyst at Bloomberg, estimated that Coinbase has a 70% chance of victory in its ongoing lawsuit against the SEC. His prediction is based on the belief that Coinbase's definition of an investment contract is more precise than the one provided by the SEC. Who would have thought? Which could be a turning point in the case. Say, quote, from Mr. Stein, we think Coinbase is likely to win this claim. The judge asked for limiting principle to the SEC's definition of investment contract that would not include collections. We think the definition offered by Coinbase is more attractive, requiring an investment in a business and not just an ecosystem, and requiring an enforceable obligation. If Coinbase wins this lawsuit, right, because the lawsuit is based off of, one, their staking service, right, and two, that the coins listed on them, because they have an ecosystem, is an investment contract. So if Coinbase wins this lawsuit, by default, every other exchange, right? Because we know that Binance is in a lawsuit as well. Every other exchange and every token that's listed, the SEC is not going to be able to sue those exchanges, and they're not going to be able to sue those tokens, right? Essentially, it'll be any exchange that has any tokens, doesn't matter if it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, a meme coin, Doge, whatever the case may be. The sales of those on those exchanges are not securities. Whereas XRP, right, the lawsuit was only pertaining to Ripple and XRP. And we saw, even though Judge Torres came down with a decisive summary judgment against the SEC and in favor of XRP, the SEC still went after Coinbase, still went after some of these projects. But I think if Coinbase comes out on top, the SEC essentially is going to get put back into their Pandora's box, never to be seen again. Robin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think Coinbase, from what I've read, no lawyer here, but from everything that I'm getting info on, is Coinbase is looking to win this, right? They're
looking to get it dismissed before it even goes to discovery.
Yeah, exactly. And there were some legal analysts saying that, hey, they'll probably get dismissed the major charge. I don't remember the exact terms, but there were several charges in this court case that one of them was probably going to get dismissed. The other two they'll probably settle on. It seems like the sentiment's changed to entire dismissal from top to bottom. Just throw the whole damn court case out. And if that does happen, everything you laid out there, very, very promising for the crypto space. And then at that point, the SEC doesn't have much room to stand on when it comes to just their enforcement on exchanges, right? Because everything falls by the wayside. I mean, what else are you gonna sue for? Derivatives? That's probably about it, right? That's about the only thing they can say is like, hey, you can't offer derivatives. It's a product that, that those services aren't offered to U.S.-based clients. I mean, we see it with the exchanges all the time. I think that might stay firm, but outside of that, all tokens are going to be listed there, and if it's deemed a security, it'll be not with the exchange, but will be with the issuer, right? It will be with the token itself, right? So no longer can you sit here and say, hey, you're selling securities. All these tokens are securities. Shame on you. No, that's gone. And then at that point, if the SEC wants to claim something as security, they can't go to the exchanges. They got to go right to the source. And so these exchanges that are hesitant on listing here in the States, I think are going to fall by the wayside if there's a dismissal. And so there's going to be no reason for Coinbase or Binance.us or KuCoin, for example, to not offer certain tokens here in the States. They're all fair game, right? Really opens up the barn doors, man.
The barn doors, huh?
The barn doors, bro. Let the horses out, bro.
A lot of liquidations over the last hour. Bitcoin, 52 million. Well, that's total, but no, that's Bitcoin. So over the last hour, 95% of 52 million in liquidations have been longs, as Bitcoin price teeters below $40,000. So 39,855 for Bitcoin. Again, as I mentioned, guys, we're at 40K. Everyone calm down.
We're not at 40K. We're under 40K, man.
We're at 40,000. I'm saying. So it looks like whoever said yes, we will be under 40K by this time the stream ends. You're all right.
There was a lot of twos in the chat from earlier. I don't remember what the exact number was, but definitely a lot more twos than ones. So the chat has said we'll stay under 50K at the end of the show, and
40K.
Or 40K by the end of the show. And I think y'all were spot on. I did see some new people here. Diana 11, Matt Doris, Mike Dubs, Nilion the third, Pat Murphy, Mr. Kennedy, Robert Hansman, and Joseph Eridu. To all of you, hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto.
I do want to give one more shout out to our channel sponsor, Cam's Blue Wire Technology. If you want to learn how they can help your business scale and grow, visit bluewiretech.com. Also, guys, let me take a look at. I think we have. So tomorrow we have Magic Internet Money joining us, and we have Rob from Digital Asset News. Rob's got a really exciting announcement. I am super excited for it. Do not miss tomorrow's show. It's going to be a community thing, and I'm super stoked. I'm excited for him to share that with you. So it's going to be a banger show tomorrow. Don't miss out. And so, and then come back tomorrow to see where's our Ethereum trade. Are we going to be in the profit or are we going to be in the negative? Guess I'll have to tune in to find out. Also, check out our Twitter, Sensitive Crypto 1. And then we got our XRP video coming out. It'll go to members first. Public gets access at around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And with that being said, Rocco. Big thank you to James Butterfield for joining us today. It was an amazing guest today. Thank you so much. Also, thank you to you for watching. Make sure to like the video on your way out. And we'll see you tomorrow. Until next time.
XRP.
Crypto. Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Name the coin that's your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy a dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming hola till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.